Rulers, leaders, monarchs, kings, queens, it doesn't really matter who you are because history has shown that with great wealth and power comes a lot of weirdness. From Peter III's fascination with toy soldiers to Emperor Qin Huang's crazy quest for immortality, these are the strangest obsessions of some of history's most influential figures. Let me introduce you to Peter III, the quirky Tsar of Russia back in the 18th century. Now, this guy had a seriously bizarre obsession that totally messed up his very short reign. So, picture this. Peter gets hitched to the legendary Catherine the Great, and while she's trying her best to adapt to the new royal gig, Peter is stuck in his own little world. And by little, I mean really little, like tiny toy soldiers little. Every single night, he was huddled up playing with his toy collection, even regularly forcing Catherine to dress up as a soldier. Talk about an awkward date night. And on the off chance he was bored of playtime, he would take it out on his poor hunting dogs. Not cool, Peter, not cool. But here's where things get downright bonkers. On a regular play day for Peter, a sneaky rat popped out and beheaded one of his precious soldiers. Peter absolutely loses it, and even had the audacity to hold a mock military court-martial for the rat. The punishment? Execution on the little gallows he had built. Now that's just a whole new level of crazy if you ask me. Catherine spilled all the beans about this in her memoirs. She didn't hold back one bit in portraying Peter as a clueless drunkard with an unhealthy obsession with these mini warriors. And honestly, it came as no surprise that all his craziness contributed to his downfall. At the young age of 34, he was overthrown and met his early end. So let's just all be thankful for our normal hobbies and keep the toy soldier obsession in check, shall we? Let's go back a little further in time, to the late 16th century, and meet King James VI of Scotland, who had quite an emotional obsession with witches. But wait, witches don't exist, right? Well, try explaining that to this monarch who unleashed a mass witch hunt that left quite the mark on history. King James firmly believed that witches were plotting against him, and he wasn't going to let that slide. He sanctioned trials that led to the execution of approximately 2,500 accused witches, with women being the primary target. The infamous North Berwick trials in 1591 revealed a forced confession, implicating 200 witches in a supposed conspiracy to harm the king. But it didn't stop there. He took his obsession to new heights by publishing a book which detailed his beliefs of the devil's role in witchcraft. This only intensified the severity of the witch hunts. Yeah, it sounds like King James needed some serious sleep. While eventually he had to focus his attention on other matters when he became King of England, the legacy of the witch hunt extravaganza no doubt left a dark chapter in Scotland's history, marked by wild accusations and a hatred for Halloween, it seems. Moving forward, we encountered the larger-than-life King Friedrich Wilhelm I of Prussia. This king had an obsession that towered above all others. Literally. His fixation? Tall soldiers. Yeah, we know, another one who had a thing for soldiers, but this time a little more lifelike. Enter the Potsdam Giants, a group of colossal warriors known as the Long Guys. And before you dismiss this, we're not talking about your average tall height here. Oh no, he desired nothing less than towering titans in his military ranks. He even went so far as to pay soldiers based on their height. The taller, the richer. But here's the true reason he made it on this list. He went so far as to try stretching them for that extra height. Rumors started swirling that he had these giants placed on racks, attempting to elongate them physically, but ended up seriously injuring them and in some cases worse. I mean, what did you really expect, King Friedrich? They weren't made of elastic. Some soldiers did volunteer, lured by the promise of royal treatment, but others, those who wanted no part of the king's army, were kidnapped, gifted, or even bred like prized livestock. Yep, you heard that right. Imagine a king so fixated on height that he paid fathers for their taller sons and even tagged newborns with red scarves in case they grew to his liking. Big doesn't even begin to describe it. Qin Huang, the first emperor of China, was no different to the rest. While his obsession might not have included giants, witches, or toy soldiers, he was rather fixated on pursuing immortality. So he was still kind of bonkers, and arguably just as ruthless as the others in his quest. Consumed by his obsession, he regularly embarked on journeys to outlying lands, and even sent his men to the elusive Penglai Mountains. The expedition, rumored to have reached Japan and established a colony, mysteriously has yet to return. So it sounds like they kept that magical elixir to themselves. More driven as years came by, Qin Huang's actions took a drastic turn for the worse. He started burning all the books, everything except those on alchemy. Shock. Some scholars believe to be alchemists were buried alive, perhaps as a test of their supposed immortality. They all just seemed to delve into executing a group of people, or animals like in Peter III's case. The emperor even constructed a network of tunnels connecting his numerous palaces to protect himself from evil spirits. Talk about being anxious. It wasn't exactly confirmed how Qin Huang's demise came to be. He just got really ill and soon met his fate. However, there was the hypothesis that he was poisoned by a mercury-containing elixir administered by court alchemists in his quest for immortality, adding a tragic twist to his obscure obsession. Safe to say, he was just as mortal as the rest of us. Getting right into it, why Charles the Mad? Well, Charles VI eventually succumbed to regular bouts of psychosis, and his fall into mental turmoil unfolded progressively. Let's dive into these episodes, shall we? In 1393, he forgot his identity and kingship, and even failed to recognize his wife. Yeah, someone should remind him of his wedding vows. The Hotel St. Paul, his Parisian residence, witnessed his erratic runs through its corridors, prompting his staff to wall up the entrances to contain him. Moving on to 1395, Charles began claiming to be St. George, a Christian martyr all the way back in the 3rd century. About a decade later, he started developing the bizarre fear that he was made of glass and was prone to shattering at any moment. He would even go so far as to reject basic hygiene, worried that his body was too fragile to bathe or even change his clothes. To safeguard against this, he had iron rods sewn into his clothes to prevent significant contact with others. Just picture that for a moment. How much would you have to sacrifice in your life? Walking, shaking someone's hand, grabbing a cup of water. There isn't much you would be able to do if you were actually made of glass. So next time you're feeling a little bit cracked, just remember, it could be a lot worse. You could be Charles, trying to avoid hugs like they were a medieval jousting match. Stay sturdy, my friends, and thanks for conquering history with us. See you soon.